Hi, everyone, and thank you for your patience while we were setting up this webinar. My name is Madalina Iosif. I'm a senior channel manager here at Octopus Deploy, and I'll be the host of today's session, where we focus on two of the European Union IT security regulations, namely the NIS2 Directive and also the Digital Operational Resilience Act. And we'll be particularly looking at how this impacts software teams. Now, for those of you who do not know Octopus Deploy, first of all, we are a leader in continuous delivery with the aim of creating happy deployments, and by extension of also happy software teams. Our vision is for all the software teams to look forward to their deployment time, to be exciting about seeing their software being deployed and used by their customers. Now, we want software teams to deploy more and more frequently, but also what is important and relevant for today's session, feel 100% confident that this will just work. Now, we are joined today by one of our strategic partners, CROZ, which is a Croatian German business and technology consultancy. They have over 20 years of experience and a team of over 400 experts within the European Union and have successfully completed thousands of projects worldwide. They focus on efficiently integrating cutting-edge technology, but simultaneously maintaining the balance with existing systems. So their core value lies really in fostering a healthy culture of continuous learning and empowerment, also all while emphasizing collaboration for optimal results in even challenging situations. So again, security is a pretty important aspect of that. So happy also to introduce you to today's speakers. We have an interesting panel of experts with knowledge in DevSecOps, but also compliance. So I would like to welcome Peter Pleninger, who is the managing partner at CROZ DACH, Igor Sokac, who is the IT services management consultant at CROZ. We have Milan Jovanovic, technical product manager at CROZ, and from Octopus Deploy, Adam Close, who is the senior solutions engineer here. Together, they have decades of experience in software development, IT operations, security, and compliance, and that particularly at the European Union level. So that's why we thought, let's bring them together and discuss about these two European Union regulations, how they impact the development teams, and also share practical insights on how are we going to manage continuous delivery while staying secure and compliant. Now, before we get started on the actual topic, I just want to remind everyone to add your questions in the chat box. We will pick them up at the end of the session and make sure that we answer all your questions. And with that, Peter and Igor, over to you.
So, thank you very much, Madalina, for this nice introduction. The first slide is just a warm-up to bring it to the point. Igor, when you can go to the next one. Because we, like everyone else, are part of someone else's supply chain, we must constantly adapt our defenses against cyber attacks to the current state of the art. Many of us are even required by law to provide verifiable proof of this. What we expect from others, others expect from us. Policymakers around the world are tightening legal regulatory requirements. In the EU, in the UK, and in the US, these requirements are pretty much the same. And as you can read on the slide, some of you may start relaxing because you are neither in finance nor in a critical industry. But I have to tell you, you are not. The magic word here is supply chain. Suppose you do business with companies in one of these sectors, the pressure will come from your customers. If we in IT want to avoid disaster, we must make security our goal. Insecure software or insecure in general are not a technical fault that can be cured later, but is unusable because we miss one of the most important requirements. Anyone who configures productive infrastructure by hand and not as code is acting negligently. Anyone who does not have a daily updated overview of the software components used is acting negligently. Anyone who neglects maintenance is acting negligently. Anyone who communicates insecurely is acting negligently. And you can add a lot of other issues to this list. My name is Peter Blenninger. As Madalena said, I'm the managing director of Cross DACH. We are based in Munich, so my part of Cross. My colleague is in Zagreb, and as Madalena did such a nice introduction what we do, I skip our advertising block and directly hand it over to my dear colleague, Igor Sokic. He's one of our best experts and consultants in these subjects. And Igor from Zagreb, we start with a kind of a interview session to bring everybody into this topic. And the first question would be, Igor, what will the regulators focus on in the future?
Hi, Peter, and hi, everybody. Basically, the regulators will focus on stricter controls over IT security than ever before. The financial institutions have been under strict regulations even before, so this is basically nothing new. But the upcoming NIS2 and DORA regulations, which are at our doorstep at the end of this year and start of the next, are making things even more comprehensive, including, for example, a strict control over third-party providers like we at Cross are for our customers. Also, there's an apostrophe on risk management as well, and on more advanced incident reporting. So IT solutions need to be built from ground up with security in mind, and security should not be added as some additional layer later on.
What process and tools should companies introduce now, or maybe they already have them introduced, and what do you recommend to look at?
So the most of the needed tools and processes are already in place, but they might not have been implemented to the full scale or to the full extent as it is required by the regulations. So when I'm talking about processes and tools here, I'm talking about encrypted secure communications, for example, by using PKI, securing access and identities by using IAM systems, privileged users management by using some PAM tools, multi-factor authentication mechanisms, incident reporting and incident management tools, security information and event management procedures and tools, and user behavior tracking and recording. DORA is mostly focused on resiliency, so the emphasis is now on vulnerability assessment that includes various vulnerability scanners, dynamic and static code analysis, dependency tracking tools. So those are the tools that are going to be more and more present in the modern IT environment.
Igor, how do we guarantee business continuity, not just for ourselves, but as we heard, also for our ecosystem? And that's the important part.
Yes. So this is basically a tricky part. It's very difficult to guarantee business continuity for 100%. Of course, everybody needs to invest in good business continuity plans and procedures to set up disaster recovery procedures, tools, and teams. And we have to think about our architecture. So the architecture of our systems. So are we going to be on premises, in cloud? And we are always trying to adapt to the environment and be vigilant and take especially security seriously. And if we come under attack, we must basically immediately react and try to get all the help either inside or from outside of the organization.
Your deployments and audit trails, how do we reduce the expected audit effort when the regulator come and visit us?
Well, as I already mentioned, we start building our software and our CD pipelines from ground up with observability and auditability in mind. This means that our applications need to be able to log all important events during their runtime, including things that are done during the deployment. So there is things like collecting all the events and metrics and gathering them at least in the CM systems. But observability tools are here also to present, and observability and security logging go hand in hand today. So if you don't see important information from millions of log entries you collect, you cannot react.
Good. And another interesting topic, Igor, how do we create sufficient awareness among all IT people?
Yes, awareness is very important. So, for example, in DORA, there is an article named Learning and Evolving. So this article basically focuses on building necessary skills for gathering information and analyzing ICT-related incidents and learning from them. You mean so the organization is adapting to the ICT-related security incidents. So what's also mentioned in DORA is ICT security awareness programs and training, which are mandatory or compulsory modules for the entire company staff. Such training should build the skills in both using the IT systems in the correct and secure way, as well as building IT systems in a secure manner, and that includes things like, for example, secure coding courses.
Okay. How do I deal with supervisory authorities in the event of suspicion or a damage? So this data protection things or security incidents.
Well, here there are even more details in both NIS2 and DORA regulations. So if the company is part of NIS2 or DORA scope, the company needs to have well-defined reporting procedures in case of some security incident breaches. So reporting obligations are really a big deal in both DORA and NIS2, and the companies need to have, as I said, well-defined and maintained reporting procedures. But and I can't stress that enough, they need to have enough high-quality security data so they can report to the regulator within the time frame that's defined. So you have 24 hours to report serious security incidents with the most basic details, and then you have 48 to 72 hours for more detailed reports, which cover not only what happened but also the impact on the surrounding ecosystem.
There's one new thing in this supervising authorities that we should mention, Igor. That's the suspected case. The suspected case is new. So if a company is part of the critical infrastructure or falls under DORA, it now also must report the suspected case. So it's not only about the incident, but also about a suspicious case.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
So DevSecOps, how can security be included from the start, this shift left thing? So.
So when we think about security, we need to think as application developers of security in the same way as we are thinking about algorithms or application logic or business logic. So when we are building the software, security is extremely important, and only secure software is good software. So DevSecOps teams need to adopt a risk-based approach to their software development lifecycle, and they have to follow principles of security by design and by default. So if we are talking about incident reporting and management, DevOps teams or DevSecOps teams need to develop and implement effective monitoring and alerting systems, as well as incident response plans and strategies to ensure the resilience. Resilience is really emphasized in this world right now, and it needs to be implemented from the very beginning. So DevSecOps teams need to integrate security testing into their CD pipelines, and they need to have automated tools and frameworks to verify the security of their software applications before deployment and also after deployment.
Super. Thank you, Igor, very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And I would say we have now enough of the theory, and our colleagues will give us some hands-on experience. And by the way, you people out there, if you need support in any way to tackle these regulatory challenges, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thanks.
Thank you, Igor.
You're welcome.
Let me move on to the stage. And 1 second. There we go. Okay. Yes. So thank you for sharing that information. I certainly learned something new there, and certainly some things you talked about where we can kind of touch on where Octopus helps. So what I thought I'd do before Milan jumps into a demo is just give everybody an introduction into Octopus. So shout out in the comments if you use Octopus. If not, I'm going to give you a small introduction into Octopus, and then some of the key features of Octopus that really help with security and performance, and that are going to help with some of the issues that Peter and Igor talked about a second ago. So, what is Octopus? Octopus is a all-in-one software deployment tool. So, whether you build in Jenkins, GitHub Actions, TeamCity, GitLab, Octopus is going to integrate with that build tool, pick up packages, containers, and deploy those packages out to anywhere, essentially. And when I say anywhere, we will deploy anywhere, whether that's virtual machines, Windows or Linux, platform as a service, Azure Web Apps, Lambda functions, all the way through to not just Kubernetes, but your container orchestration platforms like ECS and Azure Container Service as well. So that's a very small, brief introduction into Octopus. If we jump onto the next slide, I just want to highlight some features that we feel are really important, not just in Octopus, but making a CI/CD pipeline really secure. Because that's one of the things we can do. We can have a really secure CI/CD pipeline. And some of the things we have in Octopus really help with that. So I want to go top left to bottom right in order. So one of the features we have in Octopus is insights. Basically, insights is measuring DORA metrics across not just one team, all your teams, and it's measuring performance. So, deployment frequency, mean time to recovery, deployment duration, and it's giving stakeholders a view of how are my teams performing against those metrics. And then to the right of that on this screen is audit and security logging. Now, this is not a feature we've added at Octopus. It's something that we built into the tool 10 years ago, and we've just maintained. And I think it really kind of plays back onto what kind of Igor was saying in terms of audit prep. Whatever action is taken in Octopus that's relating to deployments, who's made the changes, when was the change made, can these changes be searched easily? Yes, that's all included in Octopus. And I think it's key just to highlight that. And again, not just one team. If you're working across multiple teams, that audit and security logging is really easy to access and search. So moving to the bottom left, I've got, if we just go back one, we've got day 2 emergency operations automation. Now, at Octopus, what we say is day zero of a deployment is your infrastructure build. Spin up your Terraform, build your infrastructure. day one is get the software deployed, whether that's packages to a virtual machine or containers to a Kubernetes cluster. Day two is actually keep the lights on. And what that could be, it could be taking a backup of a production instance and restoring it into test. Now, what would you normally have to do for that? You have to access some kind of unsecured jump box to get access to the database. With Octopus, we've built in runbooks that give you RBAC control of kind of controlled access into production for day two operations. And then lastly, yes, RBAC with granular permissions is built into Octopus just to provide restrictions on who can and can't deploy to production. But yeah, so with that, you have a tool. We have a tool. It's also important to make sure that we ensure the tools that we use, whether it be Octopus or any other tool, adheres to best practices and regulatory compliance. And to do that, we go to the next slide. I haven't got a slide, but we're going to move into the demo now. Now, to do that at Octopus, we had lots of people saying to us, what's the best way to use Octopus? What are the recommendations? So we actually built a open source tool called Octolint. The repo is actually called Octopus Recommendation Engine. So I always do get a little confused of which one to say, but it's called Octolint. But basically, it is a recommendation engine, and it's going to check lots of points in Octopus about best practices in terms of performance, and more importantly, to this session is security. So a couple of things that it's going to check in Octopus is the API tokens that are generated in Octopus. Are there any perpetual API keys in there? Is there any deployments that have been queued by an administrator? Because we don't want that. We want people who are deploying to production. There's some RBAC control on that. So yeah, I'm now going to hand over to Milan. I appreciate it was a whistle-stop tour of Octopus, and please grab me after for any more questions. But Milan, I'm going to hand over to you to kind of show a demo of Octopus and Octolint. But yeah, and I'll be here to advise going on the demo as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Adam, and thank you for the great introduction. So today I will show you one tool that we developed for ourselves that we converted later into the product. You may see my title on the slide was Technical Product Manager. Once you see on this stream is Senior DevOps Engineer. It's a both of that. My experience from DevOps engineering and DevSecOps engineering in the latest days give us capability to create some products that we find through the time that really missing on the market, and to gather more insights inside of how our systems and our applications are. So this is the tool. Let me just log down for now. It's called DevSecOps Insight. It's just like the name said, it gives you the insights into your organization. So like Peter and Igor mentioned a few slides before, there is a lot of tools that you can implement to strengthen your security in your organization. But all those tools are self-contained, and they do one thing and they do it really good, which is awesome. But if you want to get a broader picture of state of your system in your organization, you need to go in each of these tools and gather data, and then do the manual merging of those data to get the real insight in your organization. The DevSecOps Insight product that we created is what we like to call is single pane of glass through which you can look inside your organizational status across your applications, across your platforms, across your deployments. So right now you can see these demo projects that we prepared for today's webinar. We will mostly focus on Spring Pet Clinic, which is a globally popular project used for the webinars. I will enter into the project, and here we can see the highest overview of how this application is currently quoting from the security perspective in our organization. So right now we have a couple of tools integrated in this product. So we gather information from dependency track, which is open source dependency vulnerability scanner and checker. We also have integration with SonarQube, which is statically analyzing your code. We can show you the most data that is considered from the security point of view interested. We also integrated the Harbor container registry for Docker images, and what results are scanned by the 3V container scanner. And also we have an Octolint, the tool that Adam mentioned just now. It's a tool that shows you the information of platform on which your application is currently running. So when I say single pane of glass, we really mean it. So this is one application which we can see from auditability point of view, from the security perspective. Okay, what are the licenses used by the dependencies that we are implementing in our application? So we can configure the triggers to then just, okay, if we choose some dependency that is having a license that is not particularly allowed in our organization, we can easily track that and resolve that issue. So also we see all the vulnerabilities detected in our applications. They are ranked from the worst to the better. And you can see also the detail of what that CV number, and you can also jump to the vulnerability information, which I will do in a second. And lastly, you can see all your status of your dependencies, if there is any kind of outdated dependencies, which is really the list of all dependencies that you have in your application. So mentioning the Octolint, like Adam said, it's a recommendation engine, so we can quickly jump into the platform view on which we have Octopus as our platform. We aggregate the data that is detected by the Octolint, and these are the checks that Octolint do. And like Adam mentioned right before, there is a couple changes that are not advised by the recommendation engine, which is deployment by the admin user. So admin user have the highest order, highest permission available in those spaces, and they can do anything. So theoretically, the pipeline that deploy this application can do anything on our Octopus instance, which is not, from compliant perspective, the best practice. So we can see this recommendation, and in this webinar, we will fix this issue just in about a moment. And there is another thing, which is Octolint perpetual API keys. So those are the keys that do not expire. We also see that there is a few keys that will be used, and we will also fix those issues. Also on the platform view, we can see that, okay, on this platform, only one application is deployed, and we can have those traceability between the applications and the platforms. What is running better. So, like I mentioned, we will fix those detected suggestions and issues because that takes some time. I will do that right now. So, just to show you a little bit more, I will fix this critical vulnerability because we have a strict policy that anything with the CV number 9 or higher, we need to resolve immediately. And from the Octopus, we will also resolve this queued by the admin issue that is reported by using the wrong key for deployment or for our service account. So I will jump back into the source code. To fix this vulnerable dependency, I will go to the dependency list. And here we can see we have this snake YAML, which have a critical vulnerability. We can update it, but for the demo purposes, I will just remove it because it's intentionally added to show for the demo. Fix critical vulnerability. And before I commit, I will also change the API key that we use to deploy our application. So I will switch key. So here is the admin API token. And we have a new finely tailored token, which only have required permissions to deploy to our space. Right now, I can commit the change, and it will trigger the GitLab pipeline, which will do in the background everything required to deploy our application on the Octopus. And as a last step, it will execute the Octolint. The details of the pipeline, I will not go into that, but we do the typical bond generation, which we upload to the dependency track, and SonarQube code scanning, and Harbor Docker image creation, which we push on the Harbor. So while those changes are taking place, I will explain a little bit more about the application. So from the project perspective, you can see the current latest state of your application. There is typical separation between teams, so you can change application between the various teams that you have in your organization. You can also see this number. This is one number that we came up to indicate how serious security problems you have in your application. The higher the number, the worse the state of your application is. So you will try to tend to get this number to the 0, but we also know that world is not perfect. So 28 is a really good score for now, but because we have a critical dependency, we need to improve our state. The portfolio view is the same view, but is meant for the management level people, which just give you the highest overview of the application. So it's a list of all your application with the critical information that you need. So we can see that test coverage is 0 for the application, which is not applicable and it's not valid. And we have a few critical vulnerabilities and 3 high vulnerabilities and 1 medium, which can be a valid state for us. When I mentioned the vulnerabilities, everybody, I hope you didn't have a lot of trouble with Log4j issue when it get out. But the idea is that you can do the reverse search. So you can type in the CVE number and see, okay, what all projects are affected by these vulnerabilities. So we can see here, this is our snake YAML. We can see that 2 of our projects are affected with this vulnerability. So we can have this reverse search, and we also can get to this information from the project view. The graph here display how was the changes in the vulnerabilities detected by the system through the time, meaning if there is a straight line, it means that the project is not regularly updated. Here we can see that updates are occurring, and it's shuffling between each of the updates as developers fix some issue or the new issue are detected later once we implemented the fix. From the platform view, I already mentioned we have Octolint. So from the Octolint perspective, you can see what is the status of your platform detected from Octolint results. This is the point, how is your state of your Octopus instance. So Octopus have spaces and instances. You can see what is the state of particular space that your application is deployed. Lastly, I already mentioned we have a teams, which you can logically separate projects and application across those projects. Let's check out our pipeline. It should be done now, so we can see that everything went okay. So if we go to our application, we see that now we have a zero critical dependencies. And if we scroll down to the list of the vulnerable dependencies, we see that there is no longer snake YAML vulnerable dependency that we had previously. So right now we can see also that our score overall is lower because we fixed that critical vulnerability, and we are now more safe. If we go to the Octolink, we can see that now we don't have 4 recommendations. We saw that recommendation that our application is deployed by the admin user is now gone because we resolved that issue, because we rotated the key, and we are now more safer. The same number here, I don't know if you remember previous number, but it's also lower because we resolved one of the issue that we had with our platform that's running our application. So yeah, that would be from my part. So this is DevSecOps Insights. So like I said from the beginning, it's a single pane of glass aggregating all your data. We also have internal joke we call it data lake for security issues in your organization. So yeah, the idea is to gather all the informations and display it to you in any form that is required by any kind of regulation. So auditing, you can easily see how, who and how, what to change and how your application through the time progress from the security perspective. So yeah, back to I believe Adam.
Yeah, no, thanks, Bob. I think just a couple of comments from me on that. Firstly, you mentioned the single pane of glass, which I use that all the time, and especially for a developer. So you've got 2 panes of glass there. You've got one for all the vulnerabilities, and then you've got your pipeline, which you can see in there does the build, does this code scanning and deployment. Having a single pane of glass for a developer is a huge plus. So when we're introducing all these new requirements, all these new regulations, the last thing we want to do is add more pressure onto developers. There is enough pressure on developers right now without adding more stuff. So what you'll be able to do there with the vulnerabilities and Octolink as specifically is take away the need to, well, I don't really know the best practices for Octopus. Okay, we do. So we're going to take all that information, we're going to aggregate it, and it's less of a burden on developer. Now we're all talking about developer experience right now, platform engineering. This really helps with that because it's again just I'm gonna hammer this point home. It just takes that burden off the developer. So I love what you did with that tool, and hopefully I can try and use it as well myself.
Yeah, just to add to that, so you have a brief description for each of the recommendations, but each of these code for the recommendation is actually linked to the actual documentation on how where you can see what remediation task you can do to remove that dependency. So yeah, it's a lot of load on the developers, but we try to make them easy to see the actual problems and how to fix it faster.
Yes. Yeah. It just gets them from A to B much quicker.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll add Madalena. Yeah, Madalena, you're already back. Hi.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if anyone has any questions. Now is the moment to ask them. If not, we can move forward with also a small surprise for everyone who is attending. So I guess while we wait for any questions, I'll add back Igor and Peter as well to the stage. And Peter, can you tell us a bit about this nice conference that we have here?
Yeah, thank you for this last slide. In May, we have a conference, and you see the top speakers here. It's open for public Cross is doing this for 16 years, and that's why we have this coupon QED16. Please check it out on the web, qed.cross.net, and especially when you're in application modernization, I would like to highlight here for this auditorium Sam Newman. Might you know him? He is the author of the O'Reilly book, Microservices, and fantastic speaker, a lot of fun. But for people who are more in these mainframe businesses, we also have Rosalind Radcliffe. She's also kind of a very, very experienced person when it comes to mainframe. And also some talks from guys from out the industry, and would appreciate it if I meet the one or the other in our audience at our conference in May in Sada at the Adriatic coast.
Thank you, Peter. And let me ask that we will be a proud sponsor of the conference as well. So looking forward to see everyone there. Take advantage of the discount code as well for a better pricing.
Yeah, we are happy that we have you guys all over there as well, and so I think there will be some really interesting discussions go on, and yeah, looking forward to that.
Absolutely. So I see that we do have a question. Milan, I'm under the impression that this is a question for you.
Yeah. So yeah, to answer that question, so yeah, we had that problem in application because, for example, dependency track report you the CV for the vulnerability, but also the SonarQube does that for you. We don't spam it. We don't show you have two issues, but we also deduplicate that for you, and we only show you have a one actual vulnerability that you need to resolve because when you fix it once, it will be fixed in both tools. Why we choose to have multiple integration? Because each of these tools, they are doing something better than the other tools, but commonly they do a lot of things the same. But for example, from our experience, we see that dependency track catch some vulnerabilities, Harbor catch another, and the Sonar catch a third one. So they have same vulnerabilities, but one is more detected by the Harbor because it's scanned on a different level. So it's really important for us. Yeah, we need to resolve the issue of the duplications because we get a greater benefit to actually find the issue, not just ignore it because it's a tool that we already have the same detection.
Cool. Thanks, Milan. Do you want to highlight the next question, Madalena?
Yes, let me try that. It works.
Is able to use as open source.
So I guess the question is referring to the DevSecOps Insight tool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for explanation. Yeah, drop us the email and we can talk about that.
Thank you. Now another question.
I think it's following on from what Milan was talking about. And I think there's a further one as well. If I just move on to the next one, so we've got the tools now to include Sync, GitHub. And maybe something we can pick up offline with Ranganeth, Philam, and discuss further.
Yeah, so the tools that I mentioned today are just a couple of the tools that we have ready to integrate. We also have integration from the platform perspective for the Kubernetes or the OpenShift. But the system is modular. We can easily develop another module to ingest the data from any particular tool. So I see SonarQube, I see Trivi. For the Trivi, we have Harbor integration, which consume the Trivi data. So yeah, for the Snyk, we have a plan in a roadmap to implement soon. But yeah, we can easily integrate any kind of result, same as we do it for the Octopus. So yeah, we are looking forward to broaden that set of the modules that we support to integration.
Nice.
Thank you, Milan.
Yeah,
One
next
more
one from Milan. Where can we find information about the DevSecOps Insight tool?
Yeah, it's on the Cross website. So you see the QAD CrossNet, just remove QAD and you're good to go.
Right, and I would add, if any questions, just contact us. Since I see that there are no other questions in the chat box. Now, if you think about anything else, just feel free to reach out at the email addresses that are listed here. We will also follow up with a recording and some more resources, so you'll have direct contact information from us as well. So either on the Octopus side or on the Cross side, just feel free to reach out and we are happy to help and chat. Good. Any closing remarks?
No, thank you for your time spending with us, Madalina.
Yeah.
Great moderation.
Yeah.
And bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for
everyone.
watching.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.